to call this meeting to order. Welcome to the Voorhees Township Committee meeting of September 23rd, 2019. Please rise and join me in the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have a roll call, please?
Here.
Mr. Pratt?
Here.
Mr. Rabbit?
Here.
Ms. Pacito? Here. Mayor Yoda?
Here.
Good evening, everyone. This meeting is being held in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Due notice of this meeting has been published by the clerk in both the Courier Post and Inquirer newspapers. Also, a copy of the annual meeting notice is posted on the bulletin board outside the municipal clerk's office. I'm obligated to advise you by state law there's no smoking in the building. In the event of an emergency, please see the exits to the rear of the room, also up front on either side of Township Committee. Finally, you should be aware that the meeting is being videotaped and will be shown on our local public access channels at a later date. Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, if I may, due to some discussions we need to have relative to the first reading of the ordinances by title only, I would ask that we would bypass those three until we had an opportunity to discuss them with an appropriate closed session, which I will frame later in the meeting. And we would move for the second reading of an ordinance, which is the fourth item on the agenda, which I would ask for a motion to table at this point.
Okay. Our initial matter this evening is the second reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 119 of the Township Code of the Township of Voorhees regarding the regulation of massage establishments in the Township of Voorhees, County of Camden, State of New Jersey. Do I have a motion to table that?
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is tabled. Our next matter is the second reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 130.89 of the Township Code of the Township of Voorhees regarding the regulation of smoking on township property to include the prohibition of the use of electronic cigarettes and smokeless tobacco in the Township of Voorhees, County of Camden, and State of New Jersey. Since this is the second reading of an ordinance, I will open up to the public. If anyone from the public has a question or comment on that, please come forward.
Seeing no one from the public, move to close public portion.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The public portion of that is closed. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Platt?
Yes.
Mr. Rabbit?
Yes.
Ms. Pacito? Yes. Mayor Yoda?
Yes. So carried. Our next matter is the second reading of an ordinance of the Township of Voorhees, County of Camden, and State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 113 entitled Gasoline Stations of the Code of the Township of Voorhees. This again is the second reading of an ordinance. I will open it up to the public for any questions or comments.
Seeing no one from the public, move to close public portion.
Second. All those in favor?
I'm sorry.
Somebody had a comment on this one.
You have to come up, please come up.
Your name and address for the record, please, ma'am.
My name is Denise Shin. My address is 219 Laurel Road, apartment 107, Voorhees.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. Can you read the body of that ordinance as relates to gas stations?
We could. Sure.
The substance of it in changing the hours, it says, gas stations operating in the township shall be prohibited from operating between the hours of 12 midnight and 6 a.m. unless operated in accordance with the permitted uses set forth in the Unified Land Development Ordinance of the Township, Voorhees Township Code, which shall have no limitation upon the hours of operation. Notwithstanding the foregoing, this chapter does not apply to convenience stores with gasoline filling stations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from our public? Good evening.
Hi, good evening. My name is Chloe Jacko-Isaac, and I live at 219 Laurel Road, the Echelon Towers Apartments. I'm with the gasoline. I'm just putting this out there because as somebody that's concerned about the earth, is there anything that you guys are working together to do away with that? Maybe more like electric cars, for the carbon emissions. Is there anything in the works on that?
We actually have an environmental commission that works very hard on those types of issues. I believe we are
All of our trash,
silver certified at this point.
we are, all of our trash recycling trucks are CNG, our new senior bus is CNG.
They meet regularly once a month. It's a public meeting. You're more than welcome to attend that meeting and participate.
Great.
I don't know if you caught this, but Mr. Spellman, our administrator, said all of our trash trucks we converted to compressed natural gas, which is a much cleaner burning fuel than gasoline. And we've through grants and some other things that we've converted our entire fleet over to that and have a natural gas filling station, actually, I believe at our DPW.
No, next door at the county facility.
Right, thank you.
Our new senior bus is also a CNG vehicle, compressed natural gas.
Great. So steps are being taken. So that's good.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other comments on that ordinance?
Seeing none, move to close public portion.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The public portion of that ordinance is closed. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Friedman?
Yes.
Mr. Platt?
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz?
Yes.
Ms. Nocito? Yes. Mayor Vignona?
Yes. So carried. Our next matter is the public comment for resolutions only. If anyone from the public has a comment on any of our resolutions this evening, please come forward.
Again, hi, I'm Chloe Jacowisek. The only thing that I wanted to bring up is the roads. I actually, from the severity of the potholes, actually blew out one of my tires and it cost a lot of money to replace. And I was just wondering what, if the taxpayer dollars were going to be going towards fixing the roads up, because they're getting pretty bad.
We have a 5-year road program that we have been on top of for the last few years. So our Department of Public Works is very cognizant about those things, but we're very on top of repaving, resurfacing, and we do it every 5 years. So every road throughout the town is resurfaced and maintained as part of our 5-year road program.
And the road that your blowout happened on may have been a county road or a state road as well. We don't maintain those. The county and state maintains those. So depending on what road that was, that could possibly be a possibility.
It was actually Laurel Road going to the light where you come out to Burnt Mill. So it was actually right across the street down the road.
It is our 2019 road program was just approved by committee last week is $2.5 million, and Laurel Road is a stretch of that is also being completed. We've done 2 or 3 phases, so the last phases will be during 2020 now.
Excellent. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
Any other comments on any of our resolutions?
If you wouldn't mind, Mayor.
Excuse me.
Good evening, Stuart Platt, Alluvium. I wanted to address Resolution 24519 that you're going to be considering in a moment. It's a resolution entitled Condemning the Anti-Semitic Comments of Kathy McBride, the Council President of the City of Trenton, and Councilpersons Robin Vaughn and George Mushal. I want to thank the governing body for actually taking this stand this evening in considering and passing this resolution, condemning the anti-Semitic slurs that were made by the council president, elected official in the city of Trenton, as well as 2 council people who, instead of criticizing and condemning it, actually supported it. I've always said to people that anti-Semitism is the low-hanging fruit of racism, and it seems to be the only form of racism which appears to be tolerated in this country. And by this governing body taking a stand and saying, no, it's a problem, we're going to call it out for what it is, I think that makes everybody in New Jersey proud that you would take this stand and you would send a message, an important message that's been raised by others, the Jeff Nash and the Camden County Freeholder Board, the governor, and I just hope that other communities like Voorhees would do that. And by doing this resolution, another reason why I'm proud to live here, and I thank you for your efforts.
Thank you. Any other comments on our resolutions?
Seeing none, move to close public portion.
Second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The public portion for resolutions is closed. Our resolutions this evening include number 235-19, memorializing an executive session from the meeting of September 9, 2019. Resolution number 236-19, adjusting records of the tax collector. Resolution number 237-19, adjusting records of the tax assessor. Resolution number 238-19, approving the insertion of an item of revenue into the 2019 budget, $3,000 cross-county connection. Resolution number 239-19, approving the insertion of an item of revenue into the 2019 budget, $370,000 New Jersey Safe Routes to Schools program. Resolution number 240-19, authorizing the Voorhees Township Police Department to participate in the Defense Logistics Agency Law Enforcement Support Office 1033 program to enable the Voorhees Township Police Department to request and acquire excess Department of Defense equipment. Resolution number 241-19, rescinding resolution number 214-19, which authorized the replacement of a standby letter of credit 6710LC2029 submitted by Shepherd Park LLC and accept an amended performance guarantee. Resolution number 242-19, accepting a developer's agreement between Voorhees Township and George Zugabe, trading as Salon Zugabe. Resolution number 243-19, appointing Christopher Marula to the position of truck driver in the Voorhees Township Department of Public Works. And resolution number 244-19, appointing Dennis Ober to the position of Class 2 Special Police Officer for Voorhees Township. Do I have a motion on those resolutions?
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none of those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Our last resolution is number 245-19, condemning the anti-Semitic comments of Kathy McBride, the council president of the city of Trenton, and councilpersons Robin Vaughn and George Michelle. Do I have a motion on that resolution?
Motion.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, could we have the body of
Sure.
Mr. Long read just the body of it, not the
Certainly.
legalese of it?
All of the whereas, Deputy Mayor? You want the whereas through, or just the?
The body.
Okay. So we're resolving by Mayor and Township Committee of the Township of Voorhees in response to the event that was referred to by Mr. Platt, that the whereas provisions are incorporated herein by reference and made a part hereof, that this Mayor and Township Committee hereby denounce, condemn the anti-Semitic statements made by McBride, Vaughn, and Mushal. 3, anti-Semitic acts and statements such as those made by McBride, Vaughn, Mushal are hateful expressions of intolerance that are contradictory to the values that define the people of the Township of Voorhees, the County of Camden, and indeed the state of New Jersey. And the Mayor and Township Committee hereby call for the immediate and unconditional resignations of the Trenton Council President Kathy McBride, Councilwoman Robin Vaughn, Councilman George Michal, and that a certified copy of this resolution shall be forwarded to the 1st District Congressman, the Honorable Donald Norcross, Governor Phil Murphy, State Senator James Beach, Assembly Speaker Louis Greenwald, Assemblywoman Pamela Lampett, Trenton Mayor W. Reed Gishuria, City Clerk of the City of Trenton Council President Kathy McBride, City of Trenton Councilwoman Robin Vaughn, and City of Trenton Councilman George Michal.
I'd like to take a second. I want to thank Mr. Long for putting together the resolution for Township Committee to consider. Last week, when this news came out, for those that aren't aware, there was a audio of an executive session from an executive session at Trenton City Council, where the Trenton City Council president was discussing a settlement that was to be paid for, I think, $22,000 in a case with the township, or the city rather. We're a township, they're a big city. And the council president said, basically, and I'm paraphrasing, we couldn't Jew him down or Jew her down more. That is one of the, being someone who is Jewish, and I will profess I'm not the most religious person, but I am ardently pro-Israel, and also protect my religion and try to speak for people that can't or will not speak for themselves out of fear, or just because it's not their thing. And that is one of the most offensive things that you could say to a Jewish person. You know, if you haven't experienced a form of racism, or ethnic racism, we'll call it, it's pretty awful. And I was fortunate enough on Thursday night, we hosted the freeholders, and I was fortunate enough to come up and speak, and there was no rehearsal or anything, and they had no idea what I was coming up to say, and they were probably like, what is he doing? But they afforded me the opportunity to speak in their public session, and I asked them to consider issuing a statement denouncing the incidents that were occurring in Trenton city government, and they were great enough to, on the spot, I mean, Freeholder Nash basically referred to the three people involved as moron, moron, and moron for their comments, and how ignorant you could be in this day and age. And I think it can happen to anybody. It could happen to any ethnic group, any religion. No one's safe. And this is New Jersey and Camden County and Voorhees in particular are melting pots. And to have our kids read this stuff, to have anyone read this type of hate in 2019 in a public forum. And this is the third episode that's happened in the last month in Central to North Jersey. It happened in Patterson, the same exact terminology, and then it happened in another town, which the person in question was an executive branch employee of the state government. So it's an emotional subject for myself, but I want to thank everyone on committee, and I definitely have not been shy on social media about putting my feelings out about this situation or others, and I want to thank people in the community, far and wide, Burlington County, Camden County, friends of mine from the West Coast, for their support. The other two, Mr. Platt referred to the other two council people. They issued apologies, but then support, but their apologies were kind of like double downing too. They were debating whether Jew was a noun or a verb in that statement, and getting into that. Who even talks about that? And they had those conversations. And I mean, that's a sin for that to happen. It should have just been an apology and walk it back and never hear from it again, but it hasn't. They in fact said that the term's been used 1 million times to the Jewish lawyer that represents as a solicitor like Mr. Long in Trenton City Government. And I want to commend Mr. Platt. If you didn't read about this, but it was in the Courier Post and it was again all over social media, Mr. Platt had a pretty robust redevelopment attorney's job with the city of Trenton, and he resigned. And we're talking, it could be a 6-figure type of job for redevelopment in a town like Trenton. So Mr. Platt put his money where his mouth was, so to speak, and told them, you can take back your money, you can take your money and keep it. I don't want your work. And I think we need more people like that fighting all kinds of hate, all kinds of racism. And this isn't a Democratic or Republican problem. This is a societal problem. Nothing to do with politics or elected officials. This is society and our kids, for their futures. We got to do a better job. So thank you for letting me digress.
Any other committee comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Mr. Long, you want to?
Yes, we do have a need for an executive session this evening, Mayor. We may be taking action following the executive session. I would suggest that that executive session would be at least 45 minutes, and of the 9 exceptions under the law, which would permit us to exclude public in order to have those discussions, the one that would apply in this scenario under the Open Public Meetings Act on these 3 resolutions would be matters of contractual relationships.
Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved. Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Next is approval of our registrar's report for July 2019, our treasurer's report for July 2019, our minutes from the meeting of September 9, 2019, and bills posted for September 23rd, 2019. Do I have a motion for approval of those?
Motion.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
And Mr. Mayor, I just have to abstain from the payment for Whitmer Public Safety in the bills.
Any other discussion? Hearing none of those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Any comments from our committee this evening?
Yes, I will say it again. Go Birds. Come on.
I do want to support what Mr. Deputy Mayor Rabbit said. You said it all, Jason. There's a lot of people on both sides that feel the same passion you do. And when you feel that way, you should demand action and take action. And Stuart, I commend you for doing what you did. And, I got to tell you, I don't know if you know the Councilman Jarrell Blakely, who called these people out. He had to serve with them. So I commend him too. Jarrell Blakely serves on the Trenton Council, called his colleagues out, and he did the right thing. And it probably wasn't easy, but he did the right thing, so good for him. And look, if you think stuff like that is bad, these people have phone numbers, they have emails, they've got open meetings, whether it's racism, anti-Semitism, whatever, hold people accountable. And I certainly let them have a piece of my mind the other day, and I suggest other people do as well if they feel strongly.
Thank you. Our final portion is our public portion. Anyone from the public have any comments or questions? Please come forward. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Sunita Gupta. I live in 14 Alluvium Lakes Drive in Voorhees. I'm a grandmother of 4, and I'm very concerned about what we're leaving for them. We go through life taking it easy without thinking about tomorrow, and I think it's time we woke up. I've been talking to my friends because I'm really onto recycling. I talk to my friends, and I'm appalled at the lack of knowledge that they have. They throw jars that are full of stuff they put into the recycling bin. They're not washed out, they're nothing. These are the same people. All of us, we go travel abroad, we go to Europe. We never hesitate, we never blink at paying 2 cents or 3 cents or whatever for a plastic bag. But over here, we won't carry our own bags. We insist on plastic bags. I look at grocery stores, people walk out with loaded carts of plastic bags, and I know they're not recycling them. We need to do something. I got these from the Cherry Hill Township because they distributed these to some of the members of Cherry Hill. And I believe it's the freeholders who gave these out. Now I don't know why we couldn't do the same. These are peelables. You put them on your recycling can. It tells you right there. Can I come up and
Sure.
give it to you?
Why don't you give it to the clerk?
We also, we passed a resolution here urging the governor and the legislature to ban all reusable bags.
Can we do a little bit more, push them a little bit more? If you want the public to do something about that, can you address it in Voorhees Sun when you make your weekly address?
Sure,
Yeah.
I've done it and I'll continue to do it,
Yes.
and our environmental commission will continue to do it. Yep.
Wegmans, Trader Joe's, and Sprouts, they have, these sleeves that they give out for putting fruits and vegetables. They're biodegradable. I don't know why, maybe shops like ShopRite and, work more towards that and do something. Maybe have training classes in schools because children are so receptive to these ideas, and they admonish their parents, because I know my grandchildren have done it. They'll admonish their parents to do something. We need to do something, things like that.
The reason that we passed the resolution urging the governor to do something, and the reason Cherry Hill hasn't acted when they were going to, is because there needs to be one uniform rule in the entire state.
I understand.
Because you have chaos
I understand.
right now.
Yeah.
So we passed a resolution urging them to go all reusable, and then there are certain exemptions, without getting into the details. If you want to talk to me privately, I'm pretty well.
Right, but I think the public needs to know more, because I see when I talk to people, they don't know. They really don't know anything, what recycling really means. And I think that it's up to us to do that, to get
Yeah.
out more of the
We
word.
did send out, today I saw on Facebook, a refresher on recycling, just coincidentally. Because I
Right,
know I shared it on social media, and it had stuff like this on it, but this, if we could do this easy.
We're actually printed these to go to the calendar that gets mailed to every home
No, we can
in New
do this.
Jersey. It'll-
Oh, yeah, to stick on there.
yeah, these are peelables
Yeah, we
that
could
you
do it.
can put on your recycling.
Yeah.
And I think it's the simplest thing to do, because
Yeah.
everyone sees it when they do the recycling.
I agree with your point, though, that it's important that it's in the schools, because when the school
Yes.
children come home
Yes.
and embarrass their parents
Oh,
in
yes,
the
and they
recycling,
do,
that
they
works.
do, I know,
Yeah.
they
Yes.
do.
Yep.
Yes.
And it just changed, ma'am. I mean, you're 100% right. I mean, this has been devastating to towns all throughout New Jersey, and we really have been begging Trenton for a uniform response to this, because, when you have plastic bags mixed in with your recyclables,
Exactly.
it's doubling the cost to dispose of your materials. And so this is
Right.
really, for years, we taught everybody how to recycle one way. And last year, when China decided it's not gonna
Exactly.
take
Things have
recyclables
changed,
anymore,
yeah.
the world changed on the
Right.
recyclable
Right.
issue.
And it's only like number
we're
ones
aware
and
of it.
twos that are recyclable.
We're
You have to
starting,
look for
the
them.
resolution was the start, the fact that we put it out on Facebook, we're gonna be putting it in the calendar. It's
Right.
gotta be a continuous education like we did
Definitely.
20 years ago when we
Definitely.
convinced everybody to start looking at this.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Great point.
Yes.
Recycling plastic bags, you can't put that in the class.
Good evening.
Hello, Susan Festa, 312 Lincoln Drive, Voorhees. For brevity's sake, I understand that the township is urging the state to ban single-use plastic
And paper, both.
and paper.
Paper's
Single-use-
more expensive to even recycle now, and
Paper's-
more of a mess.
Okay, so single-use plastic and paper.
Yeah, any single-use bag.
Okay, but knowing how long it takes for state to enact anything, particularly the problems that they're having, can't we act on our own without them?
I think there's concern from some local businesses, and I do not own a business in Voorhees, so I'm not speaking out of turn here, but I want to be very clear. As a stakeholder in this, there's concern in local businesses about the competitiveness that they will have versus Berlin Borough, Berlin Township, Evesham Township, and Cherry Hill. That is the feedback that if we were to go off on our own and do something.
And I understand competitive business. I am a business person. My background's international finance. But if you look at what Shanghai has done, it has acted the most stringent recycling malls in the world. So I think Voorhees, being a wealthy, tiny township, could take the first step and look to ban single-use plastic. Now, with the right notice, could be 6 months, it could be 8 months, we can ensure that our local businesses could be competitive. They could print their own bags, they can get fiber-based bags, so there's many options they could do. And there are people out there looking for more environmentally friendly ways. If you look at this generation that are conducting the youth climate protests, they're demanding it. And they're gonna be our next consumers in the next couple of years. So why not start now? We know we have an environmental crisis on our hands. So,
Ma'am, I agree with you. I know that the Conference of Mayors has finally, after a lot of conversation with the state, got the governor's ear on this particular issue. And I represent some utilities authorities that do recycling and trash disposal. And I gotta tell you, everybody is pounding on Trenton's door on this particular issue because I hear what you're saying, and I think by the time that we amp up to prepare our businesses for it, we're concerned about not giving them a competitive advantage. We're looking to keep our businesses here to try and keep our tax base stable. But I really think, coming out of Trenton, on the things I've heard, and I've been on this issue for 6 months when the state wasn't listening to us, when the tariffs first went into effect, when China said keep your stuff, when Vietnam said keep your stuff.
and they're never gonna take it back.
They're never going to take it back.
I can tell you right
And there's nothing
now.
in the United States that's prepared to take it right now. So it's basically floating around on barges.
Mhm.
And I know exactly what you're, I'm an environmental attorney, I do a lot of this work, so I hear you loud and clear. I really think very shortly, and I'd be surprised if it wasn't before the end of the year, from the things I'm hearing in Trenton and from some of our local legislators who I've discussed this point with, that we're gonna get a statewide, uniform, consistent, because the governor is for Sierra Club friendly, environmental friendly. This town has been environmental friendly. We've implemented a number sustainable worries that the mayor referred to earlier. We are, I think, one step away from the top level, if I'm not mistaken.
And I'm aware of that.
You know, and we have an environmental commission that works very, very hard at that.
And I have been in front of them.
It's great.
When
So
you, from the time that you came before us first, when
Yes.
you moved here, to now, the narrative has switched from plastic to any type of single use, with
Yes.
a couple exceptions. Like Wawa's not gonna give you hot soup to just wrap your fingers around, because it's a safety issue.
But there's no need for styrofoam either.
Let's stick to at least
Okay.
plastic, because plastic and paper, because that's what's on the governor's desk.
Right.
The styrofoam issue, quite frankly, and Mr. Long probably is aware of this, is complicating things from not from us, but in Trenton, it's complicating things. If I were in the Sierra Club, let's say, I would let the legislature and the executive branch focus on the plastic and paper issue, and then move on to styrofoam, because sometimes elected officials are only good at one thing at a time, up in Trenton and in Washington.
Okay, can I
So we've made
say that I
progress.
will wait until the end of the year if we think that's when it's going to be passed? Then I'd like to come back again and then urge the board
Sure.
to take
Yeah.
its own position.
I'm not putting my name on by the end of this year, because
No,
lame duck,
no,
lame
we
duck.
can't, no, I know, but if we think that's a time
Yeah,
that
we'll
is
look at it.
likely to happen, then I would ask that if it doesn't, that the board go ahead and put a ban in place. Is what
We
I
hear
would
you.
ask,
I hear you.
okay?
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Great
time.
points, ma'am. Great points.
Yes, please come up.
Hi, Denise Shin again. In terms of recycling, we have a lot of apartment complexes in Voorhees, a lot of apartments. The only one I know of that recycles is Heritage Grove. The rest of them do not. And all it takes is an extra dumpster and township push. I don't think it's gonna hurt anyone. I don't think it's gonna scare anyone, but there's a lot of trash generated and none of it gets recycled. And if the township committee would just put a little effort into convincing these landlords that they need to do this, we'd save ourselves a lot of waste. That's something totally within your purview.
Great idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Chloe Jack-Isaac. Listening to the discussion between the townships, Trenton and everything, I feel as though, like when you mention the small businesses, the competitiveness, if we don't act now and uniformly come together, we're not going to have an earth to have businesses or way of life. We're losing it now. The honeybees are disappearing because of the carbon emissions, the climate change, et cetera. I could go on, and it just really, I just need to, people need to open their eyes. You know, I have so much anxiety every day, every night about it, and I just wanted to share it with the room. My hope is that everybody can pitch in, because it takes a village, and it certainly does. And if one person can get the next person to do it, better habits, and it grows and grows, and that's where we're really going to make the change. But it has to happen now, because we're already beyond that deadline. You know, it's getting hotter, the storms are getting worse. So I really just needed to say that. So
I appreciate your passion. Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Seeing none, move to close public portion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The public portion is now closed. Our final matter this evening is a presentation to Lieutenant William Walsh, and I'm going to ask Deputy Mayor Nacito to join me. If you would. We have a room full of police officers here, so thank you very much for your service. We are very proud of all of our members of our police department, but this evening we are thrilled to recognize Lieutenant William Walsh for a recent honor that he received. I didn't know you were under 40, but okay. I'm not. Lieutenant Walsh was recently recognized by the International Association of Chiefs of Police for being one of its 40 under 40 award winners. So we would like to congratulate you and recognize that wonderful honor. And whereas police officers give selflessly of themselves for the welfare of others and their communities, the sacrifices made by police officers to protect their communities are immeasurable. Lieutenant William Walsh has been recognized by the International Association of Chiefs of Police, IACP, as being a recipient of its 40 Under 40 award. The 2019 awardees represent local, county, state, provincial, university, tribal, and national law enforcement agencies from 7 countries around the world. The IACP is known for its commitment to enhancing community safety by shaping the future of the police profession. Through timely research, programming, and unparalleled training opportunities, the IACP is preparing current and emerging police leaders and the agencies and communities they serve to succeed in addressing the most pressing issues, threats, and challenges of the day. Now therefore, the Township of Voorhees wishes to commend and congratulate Lieutenant William Walsh for achieving the award of IACP 40 under 40. Congratulations, Lieutenant.
You get to hear me talk too. So on behalf of committee, I would like to begin by recognizing Lieutenant Walsh's wife and son who are here tonight. Because all aspects of career in law enforcement are felt closest to home. We recognize that you have lived through the long hours, shift work, and sudden emergencies that have likely accompanied Lieutenant Walsh on his way to this day of recognition. Still, it is my understanding that Lieutenant Walsh entered the law enforcement profession at age 16 when he became a police dispatcher and never looked back. Recently, I learned that Lieutenant Walsh developed curricula to help bring attention to improving the health and wellness of law enforcement because of his experiences watching 2 colleagues and a member of the public battle with emotional distress and mental illness. These tragedies inspired the focus of his graduate and postgraduate studies. In a time where our country is facing a mental health crisis and insufficient access to care, Lieutenant Walsh channeled his passion for serving his community and his profession into creating solutions aimed at improving the health and wellness of the law enforcement community. I promise it's only like 6 more pages. I'm hopeful that the recognition by the IACP Lieutenant Walsh received will further shine a light on the work that he continues to do to elevate others. As an adjunct criminal justice professor and police academy instructor, he serves as a mentor to the future generation of officers that will serve our communities. I believe that his work, which is currently being taught in New Jersey police academies, will have a lasting impact throughout the state. Lieutenant Walsh may have signed up for a career initially understanding that he may be put in a position to save lives. However, he has turned that into a broader vision that saves families and saves futures. Tonight, I congratulate him on his well-deserved recognition. I thank him for taking concrete steps to do his part in keeping the important topic of behavioral health alive, and I thank him and his family for sharing his inspiring work with our community every day. Thank you.